Samali. I see Akweke, Suma Glory. I see Infinix XC8885. Please go to the chat room. We want to meet you. Let's get to know you. Let's know where you're joining us from. You're warmly welcome tonight. Oh, I see Lydia Ayola from Ibadan. Oyo says, welcome. Evelyn is from Ghana, Akwaba. Thank you, Evelyn, for joining us. I see Gwasomodimo Mashike from South Africa. Good evening, Mabel. You're welcome. Thank you for joining us tonight. I see Stephen from Kenya. Okay, Lola from Ibadan, Nigeria. Pastor Irene from Kenya. Princess from Bayelsa. Thank you for joining us. You're welcome. Yes, I see Mishek from Kenya. Please forgive my pronunciation. I see Fatih from Zimbabwe. Oh, welcome. Marvin from Benin City. Israel from Port Harcourt. Odeyale from Lagos. Welcome, welcome. Thank you for joining us. Philomena from Kenya. I warmly welcome you. Thank you for joining tonight. I see Tokozile from Zambia. Wow. I see Benta from Qatar. Wow. Thank you for joining us from the Middle East. I hope all is quiet around you. Thank you. Christabel from Cross River. You're welcome. Stephen from Kenya. Nice to see you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for being a part of tonight's program. I just want you to know that you are in for a very good time. We're glad that you can make it at this time. This is not just another webinar. This is going to be a great learning experience, and it's designed to shift you from, everything you think you've always known about premarital coaching. I see Chingwaro from Zimbabwe. I see Deborah Johanna from Kaduna. Wow, welcome. I used to live in Kaduna, so I always have nostalgia when I see Kaduna people. I see Akwele Suma from Ghana. Thank you for joining us. In a short few minutes from now, I'm going to be handing you over to the convener of this webinar. But in the meantime, I want you to know that whether you are new to this space of premarital counseling, or you have been there for a while, I want to encourage you to be present conscious at tonight's webinar. Be present conscious, take notes, and be fully involved, fully engaged. I see Carol from Grenada. Wow, it's so good to have you with us. Thank you for joining us from Grenada. I see Deborah from Kenya. Thank you for joining us. I will be welcoming the convener and our host tonight, Chidinma Nwobi. So any minute from now, I'm going to welcome her into the room. And I assure you, you are in a very capable hands. And it promises to be a great learning curve. Thank you. Over to you, Chidinma. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Madam Yinka, for starting this conversation. And I want to again welcome everyone. And I'm so glad I was listening and putting my eye to the chat room when we were all introducing ourselves. And I'm happy that Africa is represented here, because this conversation we're having concerns all of us in Africa. So welcome everyone. I'm happy to have you here. My team is happy to have you here. And just as I'm about to start, please come to the chat room. We're talking mastering the science and act of premarital coaching. And I'm sure you registered or someone told you to join in. Tell me, what are you expecting to take away from today's conversation? Put it in the chat room. Mutahi, I think maybe I don't know whether you have a challenge with your maybe the time conversion. Which country are you joining us from? Because I read your earlier chat that we are late on time. We are not. This class is built to start at 7 p.m. West African time and run to about 9 p.m. And then we said that the room will open at 6:50, and I'm sure the room opened at 6:48. So we are not late. I don't know if there's a confusion with the timing. We apologize if you didn't get it right, but that's the time we advertised and we're right on time. Okay. All right. So somebody said I saw it on Facebook. So yes, you saw it on Facebook, Abimbola. Why did you decide that this would be a good way to spend your 2 days? That's what I'm asking. What about seeing it brought you here? Because I want all of us to brace up. We're going to really have a family conversation from one African to another. And so I want to know what your expectations are. Okay, because we are starting the conversation right now. And to start this conversation, I just want to ask you a question. Whether you are already in premarital, somebody said to learn about best practices, to master the technique of holistic and effective premarital, fantastic. Please put your intentions there, to learn more about a structured way of counseling premarital couples, to gain knowledge and equip myself in premarital. All right, so let's begin this conversation. So if you're already involved in premarital or you are aspiring, I want you to come to the chat room to let me know. And this is not, we're not judging anyone here. We're here to exchange ideas. So are you already involved in premarital, whether you are teaching it in a faith-based organization, you have a private practice, or you are an aspiring premarital coach? You're yet to start your practice. You're not actively coaching people. Let me know where you are at. Because Joke says this webinar came just at the right time. I'm considering taking up a role in premarital and marital counseling. I'm hopefully to open my eyes to all I need. Amazing. So tell me, how do you know that your premarital coaching is actually preparing couples for marriage? When you're taking them through the process, irrespective of wherever you are offering the service, on a scale of 0 to 5, if you're going to, and I'm not asking you to tell me the answer, I want you to keep the answer in your heart. If on a scale of 0 to 5, where 0 is, I'm completely not sure that what I'm doing with them is actually preparing them for marriage, and 5 being I am completely sure that what I'm doing with them is actually preparing them for marriage, where will you put that? That's a question I want you to keep in mind as we continue this conversation, because it is not about your experience. It is not about giving advice. It is not about being passionate. Great premarital coaching happens when the science of what prepares people for marriage meets the art of transforming lives for lasting change. That is why tonight and tomorrow, for these 2 days, my team and I will be helping you to understand, first of all, what's the science about premarital? And secondly, what is the art of transformation that actually produces lasting change? That's our goal for these 2 days. And in case somebody is asking, so what's the science? What's this act? Let's break it down one by one. When you hear the word science, what comes to mind? When it comes to premarital coaching, the science of it refers to what you have to cover, what you have to teach, and why you should teach that, why you should cover that. That's the science bit of it. And how do you know what to cover in premarital? Why should you even cover what you are expected to cover? It is because these science that you are expected to cover are evidence-based principles. They are research-proven principles because over years, experts have interviewed, have analyzed, have evaluated what are those things that makes marriage successful, either by studying the lives of people who have been married for years, that their marriage worked, or people who have been married for years that their marriage did not work. Why did it not work? Or even looking at people who just got married and ended their marriage within a short time. What happened? So that's the science, evidence-based principles that predict to a very large extent healthy, flourishing, and sustainable marriages. That's one angle of that science. And that science should be able to convince you, the premarital coach, why it is important, what this aspect will do if it is covered, and the danger of not covering it, one leg of it. Then if you're looking at the science, you're also seeing, okay, these evidence-based principles, how can I design it into a structured coaching process? Maybe there are 7 principles that have been researched over years. And as development goes, as civilization develops, people continue to do the research. And they're finding out, okay, these are these. But how do you put it together? You know, I was asking at a place, I was speaking to a group of premarital coaches, and I asked them a question, and it was like the room just went silent. And I was asking them, if somebody could take your premarital process, will they be able to replicate the same results you have? Let's imagine you've been doing premarital for 20 years, and now somebody wants to come, you want somebody to continue that legacy. Will that person be able to handle and produce the same impact you produce in premarital? Because it is not just about you. The premarital is not residing on because it is Dima teaching it, it is Yinka teaching it. It is because there is a structured process that anyone can take on and still deliver the same results. That's the science. Where what you're teaching is not just your experience, but is research-based, and it's able to be packaged in a structured coaching process. And of course, when we look at the science, we know that it is not about your opinion. It is not about you giving advice, but it is about you being able to help the people build a predictable marriage success, increase their predictable marriage success factors. That's the angle of the science of premarital. Now, you agree with me that it is one thing, maybe for a doctor to understand medicine and to be well trained in it, but that doctor does not even know how to communicate with people. Or when people come to him, they don't want to be attended to him because they don't feel at home. They don't feel that they can connect with him. Right? So that doctor may know the science. You could even have somebody who is very vast in scriptures, in the word, but then the way they communicate it to people, the people are disconnected. So it's not enough to know the evidence-based principles. It is also that there is an art to it. What to cover is the science, but how to coach people in a way that transforms people becomes the art of it. When we have conversations like this, I usually would have ask people who have already been in the premarital coaching space, what are the challenges you have in premarital that if you are able to surmount those challenges, you think your premarital will be most effective. And they go like, oh, I don't know how this generation, when you're doing premarital with them, they don't want to talk. You're asking questions, nobody is answering. That is a gap in your art of premarital, because there is a methodology for getting people to trust you and be able to talk to you because you've created rapport. So you might be knowledgeable in the science, but your ability to facilitate deep awareness, where you are not coercing the person, where you don't even have to raise your voice, but through your process, because you understand the dynamics of human motivation, the dynamics of human interaction, you are able to facilitate deep awareness that people encounter you, and maybe somebody has taught them something before, but they say, oh, I have never felt it this way. Nobody has ever brought it home this way. It is because you understand the art, because you are able to also facilitate healing, meaningful connections, and you can create lasting behavioral change. That's the art of it. So that refers to how to coach people so that they can actually change. Because premarital is expected to create change first in the individuals and also in the couple. And that's what we have gathered here for these 2 days to talk about. What's the science of premarital coaching? That anyone who wants to be effective in premarital should know what to cover and why they should cover it. And then how can you connect with people? How can you help people be open, facilitate awareness, healing, and lasting behavioral change? This is the goal for the 2 days that we're going to spend together. So I encourage us to participate. At intervals, I will pause and ask us questions. I will pause and let us just, interact a bit. And I would hope that when we get there, we are also part of the interaction. So let's move forward. Because the process of a transformational premarital coaching. Now, there's a difference between premarital talking. There's a difference between premarital advising. But what you need to be able to help people who are getting married, especially if you're passionate about helping them build a strong foundation, especially if your heart is touched at the high rate of divorce, even after people have gone through premarital. Sometimes I say to people that a cancelled engagement during premarital is also a valid outcome of your premarital process. So it's about understanding the science, what to coach them on, plus the art, how it should be coached. That is what creates transformation. That is what impacts who the individuals, first of all, become because of the coaching, and who the couple become because of your coaching. Who are we? Because some of us are just getting to know us for the first time. So let me just give a little bit of background to the academy that is, putting this together. The Start Your Marriage Right Academy. Once you hear the name, you know that the vision and the work that this academy has set out is to ensure that people get into marriage right, starting from adolescence to to people in the dating world, to people engaged, to people in premarital, and also even for newlyweds and people in marriage. So what we are about to encounter in the Science and Art is the new cutting-edge flourishing marriage blueprint that is drawn from positive psychology, guidance and counseling, mediation, emotional intelligence, neuro-linguistics programming, and family science and marriage coaching. And together with the team, we have trained hundreds of premarital coaches and marriage mentors from across Africa who are using this blueprint across the world. So let's get into business. And again, I welcome us as a representative of Start Your Marriage Right Academy to this conversation. In 2024, the research team at Start Your Marriage Right Academy conducted a premarital counseling effectiveness survey and wanted to know how the people who have gone through premarital, first of all, we wanted to know the percentage of people who are married that did premarital, and those who did premarital, how did they do their premarital, and how effective did they think it was? Now, with all of that, there were some shocking statistics that we picked. One of the highlights of that survey was that out of the people who responded to the survey, over 96.9% of the people who responded that they went through premarital counseling said that they did it in faith-based organizations, and predominantly Christian faith-based organizations. Some of them said, oh, we just read books. Some said, about 34% said, we just read books and, we just went on. We didn't have anybody handle us and all that. Some said, oh, we just attended marriage seminars. About 23% attended marriage seminars. About 10% said that they actually did go to a professional premarital course. Then another thing, so that means that right now, the Christian faith-based organization appears to and still continues to be the most prominent place where people do premarital counseling, following by these statistics. Then we wanted to also find out from them, okay, this premarital you did it cover talking about trauma, helping you to heal any emotional wounds? Were you able to get help, psychotherapeutic or coaching help, to deal with past heartbreaks so that you don't bring it into your marriage or it continues to impact your life? And you can see from the board that 73.1% of people said no. The premarital didn't talk anything about my personal money. We didn't even go there. It didn't help me with dealing with my emotional wounds. So I carried it into the marriage. 26.9% said yes, the premarital also covered that. But you can see that those who did not have any form of personal healing process in premarital are way higher than those who did. Then we asked them, did the premarital course you took, did you have opportunities for you and your partner to have experiential practice sessions? And we went further to say, like, experiential real-time practice sessions where you could stimulate cases and practice relationship building skills like communication, like conflict repair strategies, with the guidance of your premarital coach, so that you can practice what you are learning in real time and your coach can give you feed forward. About 36% said yes, our premarital offered that, and 64% said that it did not. So you also see where the gap is. Now, this survey that we did, the sample space was Nigeria. But after we saw that result, we decided to also do some synthesized research with other African countries. And in focus was Ghana, Cameroon, Zambia, South Africa, Zimbabwe, and one other African country, and we also looked at Africans in the diaspora, and we're looking specifically to Africans in the United States, Africans in the United Kingdom, and Africans in Canada. And something was well-rounded. It was so evident that yes, contrary to what people think, that people don't go for premarital, they don't take it serious. No, we found out that people actually are enthusiastic to attend premarital counseling. But then a good number of them say that they did not think that the premarital prepared them well enough for marriage. So with that research, and also even across the African countries and Africa in diaspora, it also showed significantly the tilting of premarital to faith-based organizations. So it now means that the future of premarital marriage preparation in Africa does not only lie in whether the couples attend premarital counseling, because they are willing to attend. But the future of marriage preparation will lie in how well they are prepared. If they are able to encounter the science and the person leading the premarital is well experienced in the art of it, so that the person can help them facilitate real change. It means that in Africa, the marriage coaching industry is in a very pivotal era, where both the clergy and professionals who combine, number one, compassion, because it takes a heart of love to want to help somebody create a strong foundation. But it's not enough. Passion is not enough. You need to be able to combine this compassion with structure. And it is only those who are able to do this combination that will lead the next wave of family stability. That is why we are saying, from the summary of the 2026 Future of Premarital Coaching in Africa, which you all, if you registered for this masterclass, or you are also in the WhatsApp group, you will get to a copy of this report so that you can also read it for yourself in details. I'm just trying to summarize it. It means that the summary of the report is that Africa needs more equipped professionals who do not merely counsel marriage problems after they arise, but offer effective premarital coaching such that they are able to prevent those problems through high-quality premarital preparation delivered, not perchance, not only by the person, but consistently at scale, so that anybody can take on that blueprint and run with it. All right? That's the clarion call. We need to combine compassion with structure so that we can lead the next wave of premarital preparation. And are you aware that right now, over 60% of African population are under the age of 25? So it means that the future of Africa right now is still about preparing for marriage, and they will need competent hands. So that if Africa is going to transform everything we want it to be, starting from our individual lives to our families, to our communities, to all that, we need to be paying attention to premarital counseling. Because the person you marry will impact the rest of your life, including your career, your joy, your happiness, and I dare say even your ability to make heaven. It means that marriage preparation is very important, not only for continental development, not only for nation building, but also for the flourishing of the individuals. And you can cascade it down to their children, down to generations and all of that. So the 2 days we have come here for, it's really pivotal to the future of Africa, and it begins with you and with me. So we have broken down this science and this act into this. So we're going to be looking at identifying common errors that premarital counselors make that could be sabotaging their art of premarital and actually gives them bad publicity. We will also help you to discover major mental blocks that can sabotage your premarital coaching practice. And of course, touch on the dynamics of being a trusted premarital coach. What does it take to facilitate deep awareness? What does it take to facilitate deep, meaningful connections? What does it take to be able to lead somebody to take a decision to create change for themselves because they choose to create change, not because you're forcing the change on them, but because intrinsically they are motivated to want to change. And of course, again, we will show you the science, which is the trusted, tested strategies, and the research, the blueprint for effective premarital coaching. So if you have started this conversation with us today, please ensure that you clear your schedule. You not only complete today, but you also complete tomorrow because we will be taking you on a journey. So if you are ready and you are ready for us to move on to identifying common errors premarital counselors make, I need you to come to the chat room and give me a thumbs up. Whilst you're giving the thumbs up, in the introduction, when I talked about the science and art and also talked about the research and why it's important for Africa that we raise more competent transformational premarital counselors, what hits you? I need one aha moment. Come to the chat room and say, oh, this was what you said that hit me, or you give me a thumbs up. Quickly. I'm seeing thumbs up. Thank you. I'm not feeling the vibe. The room is kind of silent. Enough people are not making me feel we're in this together. So I need more thumbs up. I need to know what your aha moment is because we are moving to common mistakes premarital counselors make. And let me say this. Ernest, please stay on for the 2 days. I want to take the outline based on how it is prepared. So if you stay on today, tomorrow, you will get answers to your question about how to help somebody heal from past trauma. I can't answer it now because it will be moving me to what we are yet to get to. But I do assure you that if you are here for today and tomorrow, that question will be answered for you. All right. So, and let me just say this as we start up with the common mistakes premarital counselors make. I want to say this. This is not designed to, put anybody down or to make you feel bad, because at one time or the other, we could have made these mistakes. All right. So I just want you to be open-minded and see, could there be one of this that I make that could be the reason why my premarital coaching is not filling up, or could be why when I have premarital, somebody is not referring other people to me. Let's take it one after the other and just allow yourself to vulnerably go through it. The first, and not in no particular order, but one of the common mistakes that premarital counselors make that gives them bad publicity and actually even may end up shutting up the people who have come to them and not allowing them to be able to penetrate them in a place where transformational change can happen, is that some people go about throwing religious and cultural quotes at the intended couple without a structure for implementation. And remember, I did say that 96.6% of people who did premarital did it in faith-based organizations. And maybe even those who did in professional, some of the people who are professional also have blurry lines between faith-based and professional practice. But when you understand that these quotes are not merely to be thrown, but they are systems that should be implemented. So when you say to somebody, do not be unequally yoked with unbelievers, how do you help them? What structure do you have in place to help them know if they are unequally yoked with unbelievers? If you say to somebody, oh, a wise woman makes the home, what structure do you have in place to help the person even assess their capability of making a home beyond just the fact that they have feminine traits of, oh, they're female, they have a breast and all of that? What structure do you have in place to know, is this person human being enough to take on that role? Or when you throw religious or cultural quotes, oh, in our culture, a man is this, in our culture, a woman is this. Have you tried to convert these to structures for implementation so that the person knows, how do I take this and make it a living word? How do I take this and practice it? How can I use this to assess where I am? And many a times when we throw these religious quotes and cultural quotes, the people feel disconnected. And then you are saying, oh, this generation, this. No, there is a way. And like I said, 60% of Africa is under the age of 25. It means that majority of the people you are encountering in premarital or you will encounter in the next 1 to 5 years will be predominantly, or even the next 10 years, will be predominantly Gen Z. And if there is anything Gen Zs need to get connected to anybody, is authenticity. So when you're just reading out quotes and they are not able to see how authentically they can fit it into their lives, they are disconnected from you. And then you will say, Gen Zs, it's not about them. It's about this mistake that you're making where you do not understand that these scriptures, these cultural quotes must come with a structure that can help the person investigate and be able to implement them, not just by dropping them. It's not enough for somebody to say, oh, it's deep. After saying deep, how deeply can it transform the life? That's one common mistake premarital counselors make. The next one is sharing your personal experiences without a sieve. I have tried to introduce that in the beginning to say, when it comes to premarital, it's not so much about your experience. Now, let me say this carefully. You might be a man from the same tribe with the same personality class and many other similarities you could have with another man that you could be counseling. And then you're like, oh, we are similar. But you forget that you may have similar personalities, you may come from similar tribes, you may profess similar religion, but you were both raised by different parents. You have both internalized your life lessons differently. Do you understand? You have both internalized your life lessons differently. So what worked for you does not necessarily have to work for the other person. And so when you come to premarital and you're saying, oh, in our marriage, in the first 2 years of our marriage, this was happening, but this is what me and my husband did, blah, blah, blah. It does not necessarily work because even if you are tempted to share your personal experience, it must come with a sieve. It must be such that you are sharing it after you have taught the science. And then you are and then you are understanding the personality, the love, and everything that makes for the uniqueness of the couple. And then you are inviting them to create an action step. But then you're noticing that probably they are stuck, probably they are not resourceful. And then you could ask, oh, there is something that we have tried. I don't know, would you want me to share it with you? And then when they say yes, you share that experience. But even after sharing the experience, you need to also say, okay, based on this experience, how do you think you can apply it? Do you think it relates to you? And how would you apply it? Not giving your personal experience as a blanket, because it is not. An effective premarital has nothing to do with your experience. Remember, we have established that it is a science and it is an act. So let's move on. Number 3, the third mistake that premarital counselors make is assuming shared beliefs without verification. And I see this a lot where people are counseling, whether people from similar educational pedigree, or they are counseling people from similar fields of life, maybe 2 medical doctors or 2 barristers are getting married, or they are counseling people from same tribe, or they are counseling people who profess the same faith. So you assume that because, oh, both of them are in this faith, they have similar beliefs, they have shared beliefs. You can assume. In fact, in premarital, there is really no room for assumption, because that assumption can lead to frustration. So it means that if you recognize that being unequally yoked will create problems. And when I talk about being unequally yoked, I'm not talking about just limited to spiritual beliefs. An unbeliever in this sense is somebody who does not believe what you believe. And it's not only spiritual. What if you're going to get married and the 2 people you are counseling, they have different beliefs about leadership in a marriage, they are going to have a potential issue when it comes to leadership. If you are counseling 2 people and they have issues with roles and responsibilities in the home, they have different beliefs, they are going to have issues. So when we talk about verifying beliefs, please do not just limit it to spiritual beliefs. It is about verifying their beliefs about the essentials that make for marriage. But if you don't know the science, how do you know the essentials that you're going to help them verify? So my question is, if you've been doing premarital, what process do you have in place to verify that the 2 people who are going into marriage, knowing that what a person believes to a very large extent will impact their behavior, and how you behave, the actions you take or the inactions you don't take because of your beliefs will automatically give you your outcome. But you see, people do not wear their beliefs on their forehead. So if you don't have a system of helping them to identify it and check it if they have similar beliefs, you could assume even they themselves do not even know that they have different beliefs. And do you know that when people come to you for premarital, they come with that trust that you know better and you can guide them expertly. So even when they have already built that trust in you and they come and you do mediocre work, they don't even know that you did mediocre work. So that's the danger of it, because they are coming trusting you. And so if they are coming trusting you, you had better be doing great work so that their trust will not be misguided. So it's about not assuming shared beliefs, about helping them to verify it so that if there is any misaligned beliefs, you are able to help them address it now. I have seen people who ended their engagement because they could not align their beliefs. Even if you extend it to their values, they could not align their beliefs and their values. And they decided, you know what, this just opened my eyes. I think we're headed in 2 different directions. I think that my perception of life is different from his. And if we're not able to agree on this nitty-gritty, I have been having some misgivings, but I didn't put a name to it. I've seen people end their engagement in premarital. And you need to know that that's a valid outcome. Because would it be better for them to get into the marriage and suffer In fact, last month I had a conversation with someone. The person was telling me, I saw the signs. And I'm like, did you do premarital? He said yes, but it was just And the person said to me, we've been married for 15 years, and now I want to take a walk. I wish I walked away when we were engaged, when I saw the signs. And I could see that both of us were not willing to compromise. Now, imagine if you had a system that could help them detect that. Number four, speaking at the participants without or with very little experiential practice sessions. And this is one of the things that young people complain about when it comes to premarital. They say, because we continue to do research so that we are sure that we are bringing out evidence-based resources. And so when you ask people who did premarital, one of the things they like about the premarital, one of the things they didn't like, they say, oh, this counselor just kept talking. Are you aware that even the people, though the statistics show that about 96.6% of people who did premarital did it in faith-based organizations, a good number of them attended that premarital because it was a requirement for them to do their wedding. And we asked them, if it was not a requirement, if you didn't need to complete it and your form signed before you can wed in church, would you have done the premarital? More than 80% of them said no. And when we wanted to find out why would you not have done it, they said, oh, our friends that have done it have given us the experience. All they do most of the time is just talk. After talking, we pray and we go. So that's one common mistake. You don't just talk at participants. You need to include experiential practice sessions. You need to give them reflective exercises that they will do, because that's how they get involved. But if you just gather them and you're speaking, they will just wait for you to finish speaking and they carry their bag. And we are still having a crisis of marriages, even in faith-based organizations, in spite of the fact that people do premarital there. And even when some people have put out themselves as professionals, when they even conduct the premarital, you're wondering, what kind of training did this person get? Because even the supposed professional premarital counselor is also still talking at the clients and not giving them experiential activities. So number 5, passion without a structured methodology and systems. I think I've spoken about this at the beginning. Passion is not enough. You can passionately destroy people's lives. You can passionately wreck the marriage of a people if you do not understand the science and art. If you do not have a structured methodology that is tested. Do you know one of the ways you can validate if your premarital coaching blueprint is effective is give it to somebody else, somebody outside your faith base, somebody outside your practice? Can that same structure be used for an African in Zambia? Can an African in Grenada use it? The same way somebody in the village in Obomosho can use this process and it delivers results. Can an African born and raised in Canada who has integrated with a different culture go through your premarital and find it effective? That's when you know you have a structured methodology. Not when you're just a local champion in your locality, and even the people in your locality are complaining that it's not effective. So passion without a structured methodology and systems is an error. And the last one I want to share here around the common mistakes is membership of marriage counseling units based on mere interest and length of marriage. And I want to see your faces as I'm saying this. And I know that I have my elders in the room, elders either by age or elders either by length of marriage. I'm just 23 years in marriage. I know that there are people who are 35, 40 and above, but I want to respectfully say this. Membership of premarital or even marital counseling units does not depend on your length of marriage. You can be married for long, but you don't know the science. You can be married for long, but you are not trained in the art, and you will still deliver mediocre premarital because marriage preparation is not about your experience. It is also not about your interest. Oh, can those who are interested in premarital, if you have a passion for young people, if you have please wait behind. And we enroll them in the marriage preparation unit without adequate training. I'm sorry, that is an error. Because, like you have found out and you continue to find out, premarital coaching is a science and an art. The same way you cannot just come and submit your body to be operated by anybody. Oh, somebody says, I'm fascinated about the heart. I'm fascinated about the heart. And then you go and lie on the surgery bed and the person operates on your heart. Will any rational person do that? I'm sure you won't do that. That's the same way you can liken it to somebody submitting the heart of a marriage to an incompetent premarital coach simply because the person has interest, simply because the person has been married. If we establish that it has nothing to do with your experience and all of that, then you will know that we are correct when we say that membership of premarital coaching process unit has nothing to do with interest or with your length of marriage. So talk to me, which of these premarital mistakes do you think you have been making? Which of these premarital mistakes do you think you have been making? Yinka, are you there?
I'm here, right here with you.
I was trying to see your video. Is your video all right? So please, you're going to just, engage them to reflect and drop their aha moments while I just take a sip of water. Please,
That's
over
right.
to you, Inka.
Thank you very much, Dima. Yes, I can see that we've been learning. I just want us to share with me, one or two persons, share with me your aha moments. I don't know if this poor signal has to do with me or generally. Can you hear me?
I
Your
can hear
aha
you clearly.
moment.
I can see you clearly. Please go ahead.
Yes. So I keep here. Okay, I see people saying we have missed number 6. Number 6 point is talking about having a passion without a structured methodology and systems that that is admissible to any culture, to anyone, anywhere in the world. If your passion is only useful within your limited locality, then it's not admissible. It cannot work. So I'm still waiting for you to drop in the chat room your aha moments. Somebody wants to know about, I want to know what you're taking away. Is there any mistake, these common errors that you have made? And like we said, this is not we are not here to judge you. I have been a premarital coach. I have gone through this training, and I can tell you that there are things that my eyes opened. And for me in particular, having a structure was my greatest aha moment. Having a passion without structure, methodology. Thank you, Abimbola. I hear you. I just shared my own structure. Membership of marriage counseling units based on interest and length of marriage. Yeah, that's a very common error. And, it's okay to own it. But that's why we are here. And that's why this webinar has been put together. Sharing your personal experience without a sieve. Thank you, Bosede. That's right. That's another common error because these things are not just guesswork. They are based on research. They're based on research. And I thank you. But now you are beginning to see things differently. Yeah, I see someone has been religious-based counseling. Ernest, thank you for your honesty. That's a very common error for, especially for those of us in a faith-based organization. We like to throw scriptures around, but like Dima said, we're dealing with a generation of youth who will ask deeper questions, and you can't just throw scriptures around. Thank you. Yeah, stay with us and be sure to be present tomorrow, because I guarantee you, you're going to finally put the rubber to the road at the end of this session. Thank you, Dima. You're welcome back.
Thank you, Yinka. And just before I let Yinka go, I want to just clarify something because I see people saying my mistake has been religious-based counseling. I don't think religious-based counseling is a problem, and I hope I that wasn't what you took from what I communicated. Because if you we really are appreciative of the faith-based organizations, like I said, they have held forth, and about 96% of people who did premarital did it. Where the issue is not the fact that you're doing religious-based counseling. It is the fact that you're doing it without a structure. It's the fact that you are throwing quotes, you are throwing culture at the people without a system for implementation. So it doesn't mean that if you identify as a faith-based counselor, as a Christian counselor, you are doing premarital wrong. No, you have to be able to do it with a structure. If there are quotes, if there are scripture that you use in your practice, you have to be able to understand, how can I systemize this? What structure will I put in place for this scripture to come alive? Either for it to help them to evaluate where they are, or to help them to implement. So I just felt it was important to put that there. So there's nothing with religious-based counseling. If it is effective, if it has structures, if it gives the people step-by-step implementation, you are in the right track. But if you can say to yourself, I don't have the structure, then that's what you want to look into, okay? And we're going to be showing you that. So Yinka, thank you for holding forth while I took a breath. We're going to now continue with the next part. Okay, so if somebody here is excited to, let's look at the mental blocks. If you are ready for us to talk about the mental blocks, I need you to come and ginger me. Come to the chat room. If you're watching us on YouTube, please, if you have questions, also drop your questions. I will get the questions passed to me by my team members, and I will answer them when I take another pause. Okay? So talk to me. Yes, structure is important. And yes, 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 yes. Uh-huh. Oh, Lumbeba, I thank you, Priscilla, for that. She said, honestly, I thought being passionate is everything. No, it's not everything. It's not everything. There is a science and an art. So let's look at mental blocks that sabotage effective premarital coaching process. And I'll take this again, I don't want to share this from that angle of you feeling judged. And I love the vulnerability in this room. I love people owning up and saying, oh, this is, I think I'm guilty here. I think I used to do this. And that's why you're here. Because like I said, if you stay with us throughout today and tomorrow, I will show you how you can undo those mistakes. Every mistake you've identified with, there is a way out of it. And this is also part of what my team and I are committed to doing, because raising competent premarital coaches for Africa is at the core of our vision. All right. So it doesn't matter which you identify with, you will get answers and way out of it. So we're looking at mental blocks. These are some mental blocks that can sabotage your practice. Number one here is this mental block. It's very important. Where you think that the intending couple need fixing. All right. The intending couple need fixing. I think what's the name? I think, Ernest, you want to concentrate. Forget about what you're writing. Forget about the notes you're taking. After this 2 days masterclass, the replay will be in our YouTube channel. So you can go and watch it over and over and over as much as you want. But if you are so caught up with, I want to write this, I want to see what's in the slide, you will miss the real teaching that I'm teaching. Because what is in the slide is just a caption. It doesn't capture the what I'm saying. So if you're just interested in the slides, we might as well have sent the slides to everybody who registered. But when you listen, that's where the real meat is. So don't allow yourself be chasing periphery when the real substance is here. And the recording is available for you. So if you want to watch it 10 times, 20 times, by all means, you have it to watch. Okay. So people come into premarital and they come with that air, like thinking they are the ones who have figured it out. The people you are working with have a problem, so your work here is to fix them. And even when you don't say it, your physiology says it. The way you sit down in your session, the way you talk to them, the tonality of your voice, and everything. And the people, once people, somebody feels like they are being made to look less than you, they are disconnected from you. No matter what you perceive could be going on with your client does not need fixing. Every human being is made in the image and likeness of God. If they are exhibiting any unhealthy patterns, if there's something that is not what is supposed to be, that should even make you curious. How did this man, how did this woman who was made in the image and likeness of God, and after God created him, God looked at him and said, this is good. How did this good person become this shouter? How did this good person become this partner abuser? How did this good person become somebody that's not accountable? Because once you are able to find where the disconnect happened while still treating them as a human being, then you can help them make the change. Your client is the expert of their life. You cannot know your client more than them. And so you don't come assuming the savior mentality. You don't come assuming the one who has all of the answers. All you have is your methodology. And now you see, if you don't even have a structured methodology, you are almost at the same with your client, clueless. Your client is the expert of their life. They have all that they need. They have just forgotten who they are. They just need a reminder. They just need something to reconnect them to the God that they are. And so your work is to use your methodology to reconnect them to what they already have and help them see and create the future they want. And you can't do that by acting as a God. You can't do that by acting as their savior. You can't do that by acting as if you are higher than them, as much as you're the one coaching them, because your mannerism will betray it. So that is one mental block. You need to take that out. Your client does not need fixing. They are whole, they are human, and they are made in the image and likeness of God. Use your methodology to reconnect them back to who they are. The second mental block that you have to also take away is that you think that you know what the couple needs. How do you know? And now, sometimes, even for people who offer premarital as a group thing, let's say, for example, you are doing a group premarital. Let's even use the smallest number of people. You have 10 couples, right? Engaged couples. That means 20 human beings. And you're just talking, without realizing or having a system that recognizes that each of those 40 human beings before you have different beliefs. Each of those 40 human beings before you have different values. Each of those 40 human beings before you have different life histories. So how do you keep talking at them and imagining that you know what they need when you don't know what from them? And I'm not saying you have to go around interviewing all of them. You must have a methodology in your premarital that helps even them, because some of them do not even know how their life histories has turned them to the man or the woman that they are. So you must be able to have some psychotherapeutic tools that help them to connect their childhood to their adolescence, to who they are right now, so that they can see how they have become who they are and be able to notice, connect the dots to know where either some unhealthy patterns came in or where some unhealthy patterns left, so that they have a rich understanding of themselves. Because sometimes we're blaming people and say, oh, why did you deceive this person to marry you? But do you know that the man does not even know himself? He does not even know he's struggling in this area. So he did not deceive the woman. He was equally as ignorant as her. But they came to you in premarital and you did not have a process to help them get to know themselves. When a client comes to you in premarital, your work is to help them get to know themselves first. Increase their self-awareness so that they notice the things they should celebrate about themselves and the things they need to work on. And then you support them to take self-initiated action. Not you tell him, as a man, you should do this. You don't even know if he's man enough. So when you help them increase their awareness and they know themselves, now you can help them to now take self-initiated actions on the things that they have discovered. Number 3, another mental block that needs to be dismantled, needs to be shattered. A good number of people in premarital are still stuck in past methods, even when those methods are not still working, are no longer working. And it breaks my heart. And I'm not here witch hunting any group, but I have seen people who get enlightened and then they go back to their communities and they're saying, oh, this method is no longer working. We need to improve. Here is a researched approach. Here are new methodologies. And somebody is saying, no, we are going to stick to this. This was handed over to us by our founding fathers 50 years ago, 40 years ago. Yet the person is still insisting on using outdated methods for 21st century issues. That's what keeps frustrating the process. That's what keeps making as if the young people are not cooperative. That's what is not recognizing that there are recent developments, changes that can be brought in. Your practice will continue to be out of touch if it is lacking evolving and innovative approach of modern premarital coaching. And please, before somebody says, oh, are we not shifting the ancient landmark? Is it not insanity, as we were told, where you keep doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting a different result? If you go online or you go and read, or you even go and ask somebody to share with you the data of the people who come to file for divorce in just Nigerian courts before we even extend it across Africa. And everybody say, what's happening? The divorce rate is increasing. Why are people not staying in marriage? People get married in 2 months, in 3 months, in 1 year, in 3 years, they've separated. It didn't used to be like that in our times. This generation do not have enduring power, blah, and all, and all, and all. But have you sat down to say, what methodology can be improved in premarital that can predict the possibility of divorce? So that if these gaps are not met in premarital, it is better they disengage now. Because let me tell you, even if a people marry for 1 month and they separate, they marry for 2 years and they separate, they marry for 5 years and they separate, no matter the length of time, they separate with a collateral damage. There is an attached collateral damage, whether children are involved or not. So rather than saying what's happening in this generation, That you will need to start asking, how can we predict the possibility of divorce for a premarital couple, so that we're able to help them fix those gaps? And if those gaps cannot be fixed, will it be better they walk their separate ways? That's the question. Not saying, oh, that's not how we used to do it in 1942. 1942 no longer exists, and we must wake up and smell the cheese. Number 4, and this is where a good number of us are guilty. You project your trauma and your experiences on your clients. Somebody is coming to premarital, and maybe the man is acting how your husband used to act. You don't even know that, because you are not trained in the art, in how to facilitate change, in how to separate yourself, that when you are in premarital, you are not Mrs. Wobi married to Mr. Wobi. You are a professional who has taken an oath to stand as a neutral third party in this conversation. But let the young man even have some traits that your husband had or still has. Unconsciously, your language changes, your tone changes, the way you speak to him, because he's a reminder of something you have dealt with or you are dealing with. It means you're not trained in the art. Or maybe something happens and you begin to, have you seen that, as much as we are all humans, but somebody is sharing something in premarital and the premarital coach breaks down and is wailing. And then when you ask, the person is like, oh, what they were sharing just reminded me of my childhood. No, there is an act of taking yourself and your personal experience from there so that you can be present for your client. So we see some people, and I'm not discounting anybody's experience. Every experience you have had is valid, but your experience is not the ultimate experience. So if you're going to take off this mental block, you need to be looking at a premarital process that is solution focused. Number 1, not fixated on the problem. We have premarital coaches, marriage mentors that are so fixated on the problem. They talk about the problem, talk about it, 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 and you're wondering what's going on here. Because even if you're using psychometric tools or you're using psychotherapy tools, the data is supposed to help you move the people forward. Because if you keep them stuck in their past, if you keep them stuck in the problem, how does it help anybody? So it has to be a forward moving, whole person approach, and not just you being fixated on the problem. In fact, I was working with someone, somebody had to now say they were not doing premarital with the person who was doing premarital with them, and someone referred them to the academy. And then I wanted to know, you're already in premarital, you've done some weeks. What happened? Why did you decide to leave? And the person said that they were in premarital with Coach A. So I'm going to call the coach Coach A. And there were stuff that was said, and Coach A, according to the person, attacked them, attacked that person. I'm not saying them as the two human beings, attacked this particular person because I don't want to reveal gender. But what made the person decide to terminate it was that this Coach A was now having undisclosed personal session with their partner. And in Coach A's defense, Coach A was saying, oh, I was trying to teach the partner how to live with this kind of personality. Now, for the person, it was a breach of confidentiality. I'm not saying that you can't have personal sessions with your individual clients, but it must be declared, it must be known. Because if it's done secretly, if it's done without both parties knowing, then it begs for your professionalism. And then the other person has room to imagine what is being said there that they should not be aware of. But again, in the defense of Coach A, they were teaching the partner how to live with this. And when we dug deeper, it was because it was a reminder of a trauma. And because at that time, the person lost their professional sense because there was this mental block. And the fifth mental block that you need to pay attention to, please stay muted. Right now, I'm the only one allowed to be unmuted. The rest of us are not speaking, so let's not unmute ourselves. Thank you. And the fifth mental block is you just do the practice half-heartedly because it's not paying the bills. And so your thinking is, why should I invest time and money to improve my skills for something that is not paying the bills? And I see a lot of people who agree that they are guilty of this. And a lot of people have even chatted me to say, oh, I want to improve my skills, but I don't know. How can I monetize this? How can I do this? And I'm like, if you do not want to improve your skills as a premarital coach, and I say this with every sense of compassion, please leave the profession because you're causing more wreck. You're causing more harm than good. You cannot take on the trust of people from a level of incompetence. Because when you put yourself, whether you are in a faith-based counseling unit or you start up a practice and say, I do premarital, the underlying thing you're saying unconsciously is that I am competent to guide you. And so somebody comes to you trusting your competence. And you're saying, I'm not going to improve myself. I will stay stuck in my old methodology because this is not paying my bill. So I cannot give time to it. I cannot invest my money. We agree. It's okay. It is valid. But please close the practice. Go to your faith-based place and tell them, I no longer want to serve. So that you will not be required to give account of souls that you wrecked because you chose to keep doing mediocre work. Because the moment you stop learning, your potential to wreck lives increases. And if you're thinking, oh, yes, I get it, but how do I recoup? Does this thing really pay? There is a system for building a profitable premarital coaching practice. It's just that you don't know it. And that system can be taught. And the Start Your Marriage Right Academy is a fully profitable premarital coaching outfit. And we have lots of people who are doing premarital marriage coaching, premarital coaching on a profitable level because they understand the system. So it's not that the practice doesn't pay, it's that you are ignorant of how to build it to pay. So if you are guilty of this, you need to take a decision. Do I want to passionately do this? Then I must improve. Or it's okay, I throw in the towel, let me leave so that I don't wreck another life. We will be glad whichever option you take. Africa will be prosperous because of your decision. So we looked at 5 mental blocks. Come to the chat room. Let me know which one resonates the most with you. Is it doing the practice half-heartedly because it's not paying the bills? So why should you invest your time and money? Is it that you think that you need to take out this mental block of projecting your trauma and experiences on others? Do you think that you are stuck in past methodologies and you are not improving? Or is it that the mental block is that you come in thinking you know what they need, so you just talk, and you don't have any system to help them really assess where they are and support them to take action? Or is it that your practice is such that you act like you are coming to fix your clients? Talk to me. Fruitful and insightful. Yeah. Yes, I want to know what is going on with you because I'm about to move you to the next lap. Okay, so I need somebody to come to the chat room. Tell me, which of these mental blocks do you think you need to take off immediately? It could be 1, it could be 2, it could be 3. All right. Because I'm seeing the room is so quiet. What's going on? Did I hit you, or are you disconnected? Or I need to know that somebody in this room is getting the value for their time, because you kind of sacrificed 2 hours to be with us and it's not worth your while. So whilst we're waiting for your feed forward, says projecting personal experience, structureless. Ernest, I want to know what you're learning. We are learning is hanging on the fence. What specific things are you learning? Louisa says, I have to remove number 4. Thank you for being vulnerable, Louisa. Okay, so right about now, I'm going to just launch a poll, and I'm going to invite us. Please, like I said earlier, the Start Your Marriage Right Academy is a research-driven academy. So we like to take polls and surveys, but not to worry. This survey you are taking is anonymous. We're not seeing your name or anything. We just want to know. So please, if I just launched the survey, the question is, what is the biggest challenge in that you're having in premarital counseling that if you can address it will improve your effectiveness? Please let me know that you can see the poll. You could go to the lower bar and click on more and then just answer the poll so that we can move forward. Like I said, when we take surveys like this, it helps us to bring out resources and interventions that can help people meet whatever challenges so that we can all improve premarital. We are about 97 people here. I'm just seeing only one person has answered. So I need to know, please come to the chat room. Just tell me if you can see the poll. I need you to just comment yes. If you cannot see the poll, I need you to comment no, because I want to know if it's a challenge of not seeing it. That's why we're not getting responses, okay? So please, I would wish that we get at least 75% completion on that poll. It's just one question, please. So help us to improve premarital across Africa. So I'm going to keep this on for the next 2 minutes and we will move the conversation forward. Please go ahead. What is your biggest challenge in premarital counseling that if you can address it will improve your effectiveness? Please answer the poll. We are very low. Only 8% of people have participated. I'm appealing to us. We will need you. We will need you to answer, please, so that we can move forward. We do not intend to keep you beyond the time. All right. So as you answer the poll, my eyes are on the clock. I just want to maximize time and be answering the questions I'm seeing. Feiwa says, is there a particular type of premarital counseling for pastors and would-be wives? What do you mean by that? Like, pastors who want to get married? Is that your question? Please give clarity. Any human being who wants to get married goes through premarital. So I need to be sure that I'm answering your questions. Are you asking for premarital counseling training for pastors, or are you asking for premarital counseling for the pastors and their wives? Which I think is what, of course, pastors who want to get married are premarital coaching clients. So they should take premarital. All right. Yes. The methodology we're sharing with you, and we will go deeper tomorrow. It's an effective premarital counseling for pastors and wives. And now let me put this here. Remember, I said it is based on science and the art. So the science of what makes marriage work are tested principles for marriage working, whether it is an engineer marrying a farmer, whether it is a pastor marrying a doctor, whether it is a teacher marrying a IT specialist. The research proven methodologies, as much as it touches on people's unique differences, is a framework that can be deployed for human beings who are getting married. So I hope that answers your question. So be it a pastor, be it a teacher, be it a doctor, be it whoever the person is, so long as you're a human being and you want to get into the institution of marriage, there is a structured premarital coaching process that articulates the science and the art. My time is up, but then the participants is so low, we just have 24%. So I'm wondering, the rest of us in the room, is it that we don't want to participate in the research? Like I said, you don't have to answer long questions. It's just one question, and it's helping, you are helping us help Africa. And if you have taken it, you can confirm to them that it's anonymous. So nobody knows who answered what. But at least if we know that we have 100 people here and also another set of people on
That phone is
YouTube.
not coming up on my side there, please. Can you check your network for me, please?
The network is working. It's
Oh,
going to the under of your store because we have 26% of people who have taken it. So that means they are seeing
oh,
it. So it's either
okay,
you
okay.
go to the lower part of your phone. I don't know if you're joining from phone or your laptop.
I'm
You will
joining from
click there.
Android phone.
Yes, so you see a poll
Android
now.
phone, please.
All right. But right about now, I'm going to end the
Same
poll
thing.
so that we can continue the
All right.
conversation.
Okay, it's okay.
Um,
Any
Same
other
here.
one?
The time is not submitting.
Okay. Thank you for see what I know what I'm going to do. There is a QR code for it. So I will just let me show the, since we have some people complaining about that. But then if you're on your phone, you can't snap the QR code. Except you're on your laptop and you're having issues and your phone is close to you, you can snap. So for those who have issues, is it easier for you when you scan the QR code? Dr. Kate, can you now participate in it by scanning the QR code? Because I want to put it down, but I figure if a number of people don't know how to navigate it, I might just keep it for 1 more minute. So I need somebody to confirm to me that you can see the QR code and you're able to scan it. Okay, so that we do not keep us beyond the time, I'm going to stop the poll and all right, so NS said you can screenshot and scan it. Thank you so much. But thank you everyone who participated. We'll end the poll now and we continue the conversation. All right. Okay. Okay, so I've ended the poll so that we can continue. But yes, do. So gradually coming to the summation of today's conversation. And like I said earlier, if you have, since we started this conversation, some things have jumped at you, you've gained more clarity, you have seen some areas you need to improve, you will be doing yourself a disservice if you just attend day one and you're not at day two, especially for people who have questions. How do you help somebody who has trauma? Okay, what's the structure? How do I structure my practice so that the science and art will be evident? How do I build a structure where I'm not just talking at the people, but I'm also able to help them through experiential activities? So you're saying we need to verify beliefs. We need to know help them to be able to connect their childhood to their adolescent, to their present life. How do we do that? If those questions are in your head, then it means that if you have not yet set a notification for 6:50 p.m. West African time for tomorrow, please do it. Because as we continue the conversation tomorrow, we will just open up the entire blueprint and begin to show you the relevance, what it's required to do, and how it can be done. Okay? But to wrap up today's conversation, let's talk about essential skills for an effective premarital. And if we are going to be talking about these essential skills, it's important to know that where you see PMC, I just mean premarital coach. I don't want to just keep repeating it. An effective PMC must know how to create a safe space for their clients to trust the process and be vulnerable. This is very important. You must be able to create a safe space where people can share with you even the things that when they were coming for the session, they have already said it consciously in their mind, I'm not going to say this. I'm just going to come for this session and I'll just be there. But because there's an aura around you, there is a skill that you have to penetrate human beings, you are able to be there. That you see men who say to you, the things I'm saying to you, I've never even, my girlfriend doesn't know this. I've never even discussed with my mother. You're the first person. Why? There's no juju to it. It's an art. So that's a skill that needs to be learned so that people can be vulnerable with you. And if that vulnerability will happen, then it means that you, the PMC, must understand the science of motivation. You must understand how to make people commit to the process of premarital willingly. Now, one of the things that we see in Start Your Marriage Right Academy is either we're having not just the people who want to get married, booking premarital sessions, we're having parents gift their children premarital sessions with the academy. We're having older siblings gift their younger ones premarital counseling in the academy. We're having senior friends. In fact, one touched my heart recently. A senior friend, one of her younger friend was getting married and they wanted to gift the couple premarital. In fact, after they had reached out to us to book for the premarital and all that, this person went to the extent of creating a card. Maybe I think I've shared it on my status. I could share it in the WhatsApp group to actually announce the gifts. And I felt this was so intentional. But then there is a challenge with that. When people don't book premarital themselves, either because they personally did not book it because they were interested, or two, they did not pay for the sessions, there is a likelihood for them not to be fully present in the session. And so if you don't have the skill, you're going to just be ticking the weeks and not be able to do transformational work. So whether the people are booking it or somebody booked for them, do you understand how to make people commit to the process willingly? Let me just touch a bit on that. Because when it comes to what makes human beings motivated, it is four key things. Is your session relatable? Where you are using real-time examples that the people can relate with? Two, does your session give them autonomy? Where they can choose to participate and how to participate? And you know, there is a way to weave autonomy without the person knowing that you are telling them what to do, but it is seen as if they are doing what they need to do. That's why I say your premarital must have reflective questions. It must have exercises that they do. Because if people feel like they chose to do something, they are more motivated to do it than when you are telling them, if you don't do your sessions, if anybody that does not do their assignment should not show up next week. I'm not here to waste my time. You've already wasted your time. Number one, they are likely not going to do the session. Number two, the assignment. Number two, if they do the assignment, they will do it not in a present manner. Just do it so that they can submit. But eventually, the transformation you want didn't happen. But there's a way to make them want to do it because they want to. That's when you understand autonomy. Number three, there must be mastery. If your premarital process, whether it is 6 weeks, whether it is 12 weeks, the people you are taking in premarital cannot measure the progress they are making week by week, they are not going to be motivated. Do you know the science of small wins? that if I feel I'm making progress, there's something it does to my brain to be motivated with a momentum to do the next. So if right here you are here and your premarital is only at the end that your clients get an opportunity to evaluate how they have progressed, then you are getting it wrong. There must be measuring process in between so that it can trigger dopamine in their brain that they are making progress. That's mastery. And that is what will motivate them to do the next. Then, of course, purpose. And I see this a lot. People come to you for premarital. Yes, we already know that the overall agenda is premarital, but do you have a process in place where they are able to set their intentions for why they are doing this premarital? Such that as you are taking them through the process, even when their energy is reducing, even when they are dragging their feet, you are expertly bringing them back to the purpose. Because when purpose of a thing is not known, abuse is inevitable. So it's not enough to say, but we know it's premarital. Why does Obi want to do premarital? Maybe different from why Adamu wants to do premarital. Maybe different from what Nkechi wants to do in premarital. If you don't know this, you cannot get them to commit to the process willingly. Then the next skill you need to know is the ability to ask powerful, curious, open-ended questions. You know, I was talking to the trainees in session now, and I wasn't talking to them. I shared something. Somebody asked a question about what she was going through with a client she was taking. And then I had shared something. And then this person comes and shares, and ask them this. And I said to them, that question is close-ended. That question already assumes that the client has a problem. Remember, we said from the beginning, your client does not need fixing. You do not know what your client needs unless you find out. So when you are coming to tell somebody, oh, you don't want to talk to your partner because you are this, how did the person tell you is this? Compare it to a question where you say, I see you're struggling to talk with your partner. So what could be going on with you? When you think about the struggle, what do you think is responsible for this struggle? Do you see the difference in the two questions? In one, I assume that he's not wanting to talk because he does not want to be vulnerable. In the other, I am curiously wanting to investigate why he is struggling. That's the skill that sets you apart. That's where somebody will not say he was judging me, he was this. That's when the person knows you are genuinely interested in them. And that shows in the kind of questions you ask. But unfortunately, these skills are not bequeathed to you because you've been married for 50 years. They are not bequeathed to you because you're interested. They are learned. And there is a way to learn the art of asking powerful, open-ended questions. And imagine a premarital blueprint that doesn't expect you to ask the questions, but has already asked the questions for you and now gives it to you to say, use this and go and do premarital. The likely questions to ask from session to session are pre-designed and handed over to you. So you're not like, hey, so I'll start cracking my head again on how to ask questions. No, the questions have been asked for you based on the research, and you are able to deploy it and get the predetermined result that is expected to give. Now, isn't that amazing? An effective premarital coach must have a framework that promotes self-reflective learning. We did say, and some of you accepted that, oh, in your past premarital, you were talking at the people. Now, how will you not talk at them? It is because you will add self-reflective learning in your process. It is because the way to interact and coach adults is different from how you teach children. Even for children, when you don't get them involved, you miss them. So there is that way. You need to be able to know, okay, how do I add self-reflective learning? So that if I teach them, maybe on communication. How do I now help them reflect on what they learned about communication? If I teach them conflict resolution, what system will I put in place for them to reflect on what they learned? And when they reflect on what they learned, I now know maybe, oh, they got it, they learned something, or there's still a gap I need to reinforce. It's all part of the process. Than just coming and say you need to communicate. When you're communicating, use sweet words. When you're communicating, don't go to bed angry. All that is talk without structure for implementation. And if somebody even has an anger issue, and you just come and say, don't go to bed angry, don't go to bed, you must settle you just talked at them. It doesn't really make any difference until you address that anger issue. And please, when people go to bed without resolving their issues, doesn't mean that the issues are unresolvable. Because we've seen people who are stuck in activity and performance. Oh, they say we should not go to bed without resolving issues. And they just don't even resolve the issues, but they mechanically talk about it, but their heart is still in the issue. Wouldn't it be better that you go and have a good night's sleep and come back tomorrow to have a real conversation and not just a conversation to tick a box? Number 5 skill that you need as a premarital coach to be effective is a blueprint that promotes personal harmony, mutual harmony, and family effectiveness. And this is a gap that we have seen in premarital. If you remember, when I was introducing us to this conversation, I did share that in the research we did, the survey we did in 2024, which we now added some synthesized research across Africa and published the report in January 2026, we actually asked the people, did your premarital cover anything on personal healing, on your personal harmony in terms of maybe dealing with past emotional wounds and heartbreaks? And they said no. But that is also a major issue in premarital. People come to premarital and we just jump into teaching them how to be a couple. A woman who has low self-esteem, maybe because she was raped, maybe because she was body shamed as a child, or for whatever reason, is going to struggle with being our authentic self in the relationship. A man who maybe was raised in an abusive home, where he saw his father being aggressive, either in the tonality of how he talked to his mother or to other people in the family. And this young boy swore that he will never be like his father. He can never treat a woman the way his father treats him. Unfortunately, that is the representation of husbandhood that is etched in his subconscious. And without an intervention, he has high chances of likelihood of exhibiting those aggressive tendencies. So it's not enough to just say to this person, oh, you need to communicate, when you don't even know how he currently communicates. I was talking to someone who wanted to work with me on, oh, people say I push them away and all of that. I'm just noticing that I'm getting to my late 20s, but then I can't even count how many friends I have, because when I form friendships, they don't last. And then maybe, I don't know, maybe that's why I'm afraid to have friends and all that. And I'm like, okay, so what do these people say about you? Oh, you say that I push them away if they're getting, and I'm harsh and all of that. And as this person kept talking, I asked this person, is there anybody in your life that talks to people the way you talk, the way these people are complaining, you talk to them? In that instant, it was a light bulb moment. This person looked up and looked at me and called the parent. I don't want to give out the gender. And the person looked at me and said, I don't want to be like that parent. I don't want to be like that parent. But that's how life works, because the brain keeps a record of what is familiar, even when it is hurtful. And that person had to unlearn that subconscious representation of husbandhood and subconscious representation of how to relate with human beings. Because it didn't matter that they were saying lip service, I don't want to be like that person. They were already like that person. So if your premarital does not help people, first of all, recognize and elevate their sense of personal harmony, then you're starting wrongly, because only two human beings who are flourishing can build a flourishing marriage. And then you have to help them look at their mutual harmony and family effectiveness. So I don't know which of this you think that is the most urgent skill you need to develop. So come to the chat room. Do you think that the skill to have a blueprint that promotes these three layers, personal harmony, mutual harmony, and family effectiveness, that's the skill that you need to get now? Or is somebody here saying, for me, I think it is being able to have a framework that promotes self-reflective learning? Or are you here and you're like, I think where I'm lacking is being able to ask open-ended questions. I don't even know where to start from in these questions that are curious, because I just say what comes to my mind. Or are you saying, you know what, I want to do effective work, but I think I need to understand the science of motivation, so that when I'm working with clients, they can willingly go through the process. I'm tired of forcing people. I'm tired of begging people. I want them to be excited and looking forward to the sessions. Or you're saying that I think I might need to improve how I create a safe space so that people are more comfortable with me, trust my process, and are more vulnerable. Which one would you want to improve on? Says 3, 4, and 5. Ernest says, I took a powerful point from 3. Interesting. And so where are the rest of us? Mashike, pardon me, agree. So Mashike, what do you agree with? Evelyn says 0.3. Okay. So like I said, now, do you agree with me that there is a science and an art to premarital coaching? If you agree with me, come to the chat box and say yes. If you still do not agree with me, come to the chat box and say no. With what we have covered so far, do you agree that there is a science to premarital, for it to be transformational, for it to not just be talking at the people, and there is an art to it? Fantastic. So I'm going to leave you with this. So remember, I said that based on research and a multidisciplinary approach, at the Start Your Marriage Right Academy, we developed the Flourishing Marriage Blueprint to say that when it comes to marriage, what it takes to make a marriage flourishing. Now we're starting the conversation on the science, and we're going to leave it here and come back to it to continue from where we stop tomorrow, because I really want us to not keep you beyond time. That when it comes to what it takes to do marriage, based on research, based on evidence, based on the success factors of marriages that have worked and are still working, or the ones that are falling off the bandwagon, what does it take to make marriage work? And then we narrowed it to these essential pillars, that for a marriage to flourish, it's either the people in the marriage are learning these 3 pillars, reinforcing these 3 pillars, growing these three pillars all through marriage. What it takes to make marriage work is these three essential pillars. And what are these three essential pillars? Oh, thought I will. Okay, no, I'll talk that. What are these three essential pillars? One is that a flourishing marriage starts with the individual. You cannot build a flourishing marriage on two ignorant, disconnected, trauma operating, inauthentic people. It takes two flourishing human beings to make marriage work. So it means that if you are going to help a couple build a flourishing marriage, you must first of all have a system of increasing their personal flourishing. First of all, you must be able to assess their individual flourishing and then increase their individual flourishing. Because if somebody does not know themselves, if somebody is insecure in their identity, if somebody is has a load of emotional wounds that maybe has made the person second guess themselves, made the person not believe they are worthy, make the person a people pleaser, or whatever might be the adaptation patterns that the person has taken on, that person will struggle to be present in the marriage. If a person already feels unlovable or feels like they don't even have the capacity to love because of whatever has happened to them in their lifetime, telling them love your wife is not sufficient. You must help them, first of all, reclaim their capacity to love. So it means that effective premarital or even marriage begins from the flourishing person. Because when two people are flourishing, they can come into the marriage. Now, that's pillar one. Pillar two is the flourishing team, the two human beings. Are you aware that two good people can get married and the marriage will not work? Not because the people are bad, but because they are not compatible together. So it's not enough. Sometimes in our culture, they say, oh, this person is so hardworking. He's so responsible. He has a good job. She has a that. And they match make them and they marry. Nobody is checking, do they want the same thing out of life? Nobody is checking if they align. Can two work together except they align? It's not just a Amos 3:3 quote. It is a system for premarital. Because you must have a system to check the level of alignment so that you know if they can work together. Such that if there is no alignment, you present it to them, they are able to see it, you help them fix it. Because two good people who are not well aligned will struggle in marriage. And so it's not enough for them to be flourishing. We need to also check that they are flourishing as a team, that their marriage sustainability index is progressive, that their sense of alignment and agreement can withstand the demands of marriage. That's why it's a science. Science has already shown us marriage sustainability factors. Can we check it against this union, even as it is starting, so we know where they are strong and where they are weak and help them to strengthen the weak parts? So, two people, you've dealt with them individually, get them to a place of flourishing. You've helped them to assess their level of alignment and work on the gaps. And then the question is, how are they going to do marriage together? Because these two good people who have a good sense of agreeability may still struggle in marriage if they don't have their unique methodology for doing marriage. The systems that will guide how they do money, how they do communication, how they do domestic work, how they do education, how they do the different parts that make family life to work. That is until you have been able to get them to that place of flourishing, get them to that place of flourishing as a team, and guide the conversations for them to build their methodology. That is when you say you have done effective premarital. So tomorrow, we will continue on breaking this down. These different parts of the flourishing marriage blueprint, what it entails, what it is, why you should teach it. Remember, we say it's a science, what you should teach and why you should teach it. We will explain to you why flourishing you is important, why flourishing us is important, and why flourishing systems, and show you what you need, the tools and whatever you need to be able to do this effectively. So if today has been inspirational for you, if you've learned something, if you want to go deeper into understanding this, please keep a date with us. And I think I have about 3-4 minutes to take any questions. So if you have any questions, let me put my eyes in the chat room. Yinka, please get ready to come on and wrap this up. NS says this actually answers some questions. I told you that if you stay long enough, your questions will get answered. So NS, please show up tomorrow. By the time we break it up, you would understand it even better. If you need to join the WhatsApp group, that's the link. Okay, thank you, Yinka, for sharing that. Please, Kemi, can I get number 1 to 5? No, please, we're wrapping up. The recording will go live in our YouTube channel, Start Your Marriage Rights Academy, so you can watch it and get the points. Apologies for that, because we want to keep to time. Do I have any questions? Okay. I think I don't see any questions, so I'll just stay in the background while I hand over back to Yinka to wrap up this conversation. And Yinka, if you were to say to somebody something about not missing tomorrow, what would you say to them as I hand over back to you? You're muted.
In that. Okay, I'm sure you have to agree with me that this has been an eye-opening session. And honestly, it's not a wrap until we conclude this. This is just like a taste of the pudding. You need to get the whole meal. And tomorrow, I'll encourage every one of us to come in early like we did today. Get ready to learn. Don't worry about missing some of the points. The important thing is to internalize what you're hearing, absorb as much as you can, and then we can always go back and watch it on YouTube. It's been an eye-opening session. It's been a great learning curve. I'm learning afresh. I have been through this journey. I'm a student of DEMA, and my practice has not been the same since I went through this process. I encourage you to join us tomorrow for another impactful session. Thank you very much. And I dropped the link for joining the WhatsApp group. Please endeavor to join the WhatsApp group if you're not there already. So, also, please write your questions in advance from today's class. Whatever you have learned, whatever you need more clarity on, please prepare them ahead so that when we come to question and answer time, you will be hands-on ready. So get the needed clarification. So on this note, it's a wrap tonight. Thank you for joining this session. We look forward
Somebody
to
is asking for the link to the WhatsApp
Oh,
group.
it's
So
right there. I
go
just dropped
ahead.
it.
I'm going
Okay,
to drop
somebody
it
just
here.
gracefully reshared it. Thank you. Join the WhatsApp group. That's it. Thank you. Thank you for joining us. It's been a great time and a wonderful time, transformative time with Dima as usual. Thank you, Coach Dima. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Good night. Thank you. Thank you so much.
We'll keep the fire burning.
Looking forward to seeing you tomorrow. Let's do it again. Let's change the way Africa